everybody. We're live. We're going to be talking baseball.
We're alive. We're alive. All right. So I'm just going to say this real quick. Joe, you remember when you were getting engaged, you went to someone named Iris, right?
Dominic, I was going to tell you that you were down in Broadway. And I went to see Iris for my wedding, my engagement ring.
Yeah, I was right across from her.
Right.
I had my booth there also. Mike knows I was in the jewelry business for 40 years.
That's right.
Do you know I was the first person to ever do sports jewelry in the United States? I used to do the Yankee logos, Mets,
The Yankee logo.
Bulls, all that stuff.
The paperweight rings.
Yeah, who was a guy that used to come in? Hey, who was a guy used to come in our clubhouse? Who was a guy used to come in our clubhouse? He had like
Pedro.
In Oakland. That was Oakland, right?
No, they came into our clubhouse at the stadium. The guy had probably at that time had $50,000 of necklaces, and all the Dominicans, all that stuff. They're trying to grab him off this guy. You know what I mean? Elston Howard saw him. Elston said, "I'll do an appearance for you if you give me that one. If you give me that one."
Elston, you know how to deal.
Ellie. Oh, he was the best. Ellie was the best. Michael, was he great?
Yeah, man, he talked to me a lot in 78 sitting on the bench behind Thurman, but he talked to me all the time about baseball, and he told me that, you're a small catcher in the game. You got to be tough, and here's what you got to do. I had to learn how to be tough around home plate also. But he talked to me all the time, and I can't say enough about Elston Howard.
Great man. Just a great man.
Oh, him and his family were the best. I mean, we used to come to the ballpark together. That's number one. And we had a basketball team. It was myself, Ellie Thurman, Gene Michaels. It was Roy White. It was Jerry Kinney. It was Jerry Kinney back then. Walt Williams. Walt Williams.
Jerry Kinney.
Very good.
Gosh. Oh.
So let me tell you this. Now, I was in the bullpen with Elston my first year in 78, back then. And he welcomed me. It was great. He taught me things like Mike said, he always had your back. But there was one thing that happened there. The only person that ever got him mad, you know who that was, right? Mike? Billy Martin. The only guy ever got him mad. I swear to God, he was the most mild-mannered person in the world, Ellie, right? Laughing, mild-mannered, and then all of a sudden, he got pissed off a couple of times. Billy yelling at him on the phone, getting guys up. You got the wrong guy up. But you just told me to get this. Because Billy, you never know what he's going to say, what state he was in, of course, right? Unbelievable.
Hey, I have a story about Ron. Ron, are you there?
Yeah.
I remember one of my first spring trainings, either 74 or 76.
What did I do?
Yeah, we were in Winter Haven, and you're
talking about the wall I ran into?
Oh my God, oh my God, that freaked me out, man. You turned and burned, man, to get that fly ball. You picked your head up, and you must have been running 20 miles an hour right in that wall. I thought you were out, dog.
Oh, man.
I could not believe that.
I'm never going to forget it. I see Herman Snyder running out there. And then he was big at that particular time. He was running out there. I'm running out almost like dead and stuff like that. He said, I'm tired. Help me. Like that. And then Monahan runs out there too. And then Billy Martin, first thing he says to me, he said, you screwed me up. I just sent out Torrey Cannon. I just released him. I don't have another DH on the team. What am I going to do now? I'm out there dying. My knee was just it was just like popping full of bones and stuff, and my neck was like on crooked, like a 360. I mean, he said, "You screwed me up."
Oh man,
I hit that.
Go ahead.
You know who was in center field then?
He
was in center field.
No.
Reggie.
Oh,
yeah, wow. I think Reggie probably made it out. And Reggie was looking probably at his swing. He's probably in center field. And the guy that hit the ball, I think it was Burleson or one of those guys, hit me a ball to right field. Okay. And it was slicing. And, hey, the year before, that's where Gary Carter actually ran into the wall and had about 60 stitches. And they didn't have anything up on the wall. Nothing. They had a warning track.
I was just going to say that back in those days, the walls were either concrete or wood.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. I would have run. Hey, that picture in what you call it? ESPN where that guy ran through the wall.
Yeah.
You remember that? I would have run through that wall. I would have gone through that wall. Unfortunately, that wall didn't move.
It waved a little bit when you hit it, man. I saw it.
I was like going like this. The ball was slicing over, and I hit that wall like that. And I said, "Oh no!" And then Rizzuto said, "I think he died. I think he's dead." Like that. And I'm out there, and and I had to go out, and then we went back to Fort Lauderdale. And then Dr. Canal, remember Dr. Canal?
Yeah.
Dr. Canal waited for us. Yeah, waited for us at the ballpark, and he said, "Bloomy, are you okay?" And I'm coming off. I had like 40 pounds of ice on my knee like that. I couldn't move. And he said, "We need to go down to the hospital." And back then, you didn't have an arthroscope. They look at you. You need an operation. You tore everything. But the bones were actually coming out of my kneecap. And wow. And then about 3 days later, Steinbrenner flew me in his jet to go, or not his jet, but his plane out and right behind the airport, right behind the field. We went up, and then Dr. Nicholas operated me on my knee. He was the guy that did Namath, and he did me. He looked at it, he said, "You really messed up." I died.
I'll never forget that. Hey, I'm going to be right back. I got something I want to show you, man. I know you know it, but I'll be right back. Can I leave?
You got to bring it back. Go.
I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back.
Well, hey, Joe, we're not trying to take anything away from you, big guy.
That's all right. That's all right.
No. When baseball players are together,
I'm enjoying the stories. I'm enjoying the stories.
Unfortunately, I wasn't at the stadium when he came up to the stadium. This guy, I found out about you, big guy. Studio 54 Disco.
Who's that, me or Joe?
You. Yeah. They called you the Disco Dally.
That was my nickname back in the day. Paul Blair gave me that name. I got to talk low because my wife, if she hears me, she'll come down and hit me in the head with a pan. Paul Blair saw me dancing with two girls at a club in California. Came to the clubhouse the next day. "This guy thinks he's Disco Dom," he said. He's just like that. And that was it. It stuck with me to this day.
I never went clubbing. I wouldn't go out there. I didn't want you guys to get on me.
You didn't go with us.
Go ahead.
Here's your bat, man.
Oh, wow.
Wait a second. You took my bat. That's why I didn't have any bats. Let me tell you something. Peppertone took my bats. You took my bats. That's why I didn't have any bats. Hey, I had some. Where did you get it? I left it at the stadium and you took it?
Yeah.
Is it broken? Is it good?
No, it's good. But how in the world did you swing this big old piece of wood?
That's big, man.
It's huge.
Yeah, it was. People always ask me, nowadays they use, look at that. That was a wonderful bat. And you know what? I probably had 40 hits in that bat, big guy. I had 40 hits and you stole them from me. You stole it from me.
What is that? A C243 or something?
No, it's R161, isn't it?
In the Rawlings, it's a
that's
Adirondack.
That's Adirondack.
Adirondack Rawlings bat, 117CX.
117CX. That was like a 37, 36.
Really?
Yeah, that's I used to Louisville. I used to use 38, 38.
Whoa.
Or 161. But wait a second. But back then, we didn't have these computers where you look at every time you hit, you run down to and look at the computer and see how you swing. I always thought, quickness with my hands. Always used my hands.
Yeah.
And if I had a small bat, I used to use when I first came up, I was so excited to use a Mickey Mantle bat because Mickey left his bats there. It was an S2. It was an S2, and it was wonderful. It was great, but it was like a toothpick in my hand. And I said, I'm getting around too quick, huh? It was an S2. Yeah. But I don't even know if they make those things anymore. But I was too quick. What did you use, Mike?
I used a Rawlings Adirondack 413B, real skinny handle, small head. I should have used a head that big the way I hit. I didn't hit the crap.
No. People don't realize. Hey, Joe, see this guy right here?
Yeah.
I would tell you right now, he had the best arm that I have ever seen as a catcher.
He did have a great arm.
You had the best arm I've ever seen as a catcher.
Mike, what were you, 165 pounds? 175
come on, let's bump it up to 180.
180.
No, he was a heck of a ball player.
Mike, I remember when you first came up, man, you were a skinny guy, but he was strong. He had big forearms, Ronnie. He had big fours.
This guy, hey, I remember this. Hey, no. I felt like I was a senior guy. I was up in the bigs 2 years when he first came up. And, when he's catching behind, unfortunately, there was Thurman. And I think it was it Moses there? Jerry Moses there? Who was behind?
Fran Healy.
Oh, it's Fran Healy. Okay.
Cliff Johnson.
Cliff Johnson, Heathcote. But, Heathcote really wasn't a catch. I mean, he was, he just hit. Okay. But Fran, he was, but this guy could catch right here. This guy.
Do you know that's the story how I got my job as a bullpen catcher after I got let go by the Oakland A's. I played 3 years in the minor leagues and let go by the Oakland A's. Came home, and if you remember the story, Mickey Klutz broke his thumb in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Okay? Why? Do you know why he broke his thumb in the bullpen?
He was catching in the pen.
Yeah, because Cliff Johnson wouldn't catch and Fran Healy wouldn't catch in the bullpen. Cliff Johnson didn't want to catch, so Fran Healy said, hey, if he's not catching, I'm not going to catch. And of course, Thurman, he's playing, so it don't matter, So now they say, okay, we got to get a bullpen catcher. That's how I got there, And it's just a crazy story. You talk about, Cliff Johnson, great hitter, but he just didn't want to catch you. He has to catch on one knee. Remember, Mike? He caught on one knee. Now they're catching on one knee, everybody.
Yeah. Heathcote.
Yeah.
I mean, what a guy. He was such a great guy. He still lives in San Antonio. He lives in San Antonio. Yeah.
Cliff was always good to me, man. He always treated me just like a great guy, and I have all good things to say about Cliff Johnson.
Don't get him mad at you.
Oh my God.
Well, do you know the story? You remember the story about
him and Gossage?
Him and Gossage. I was there when that happened.
What happened?
We were in the shower room. I was shaving, and they were talking, and they had some words here and there, because Cliff at the time, I don't want to get into any big thing, but there was some stuff going on with Cliff and the guys and Goose. Him. He don't mince words. He said something to Cliff. Cliff said something about. Now Cliff was a very, very easygoing guy. Right?
Yeah.
Like, very, very, very easygoing guy. But they were going back and forth, and then Gossage said something. He said, and boom, they're wrestling each other. And Cliff was a strong son of a bitch, as know. You know what I mean? Cliff pushed him against the wall. They had each other, against the wall. But Gossage's thumb got caught inside like this and bent his thumb back.
Damn.
And that's when he was out for 3 months. He had surgery, and we didn't have a closer. That's when they made Dave Righetti a closer. They made Dave Righetti a closer then. But just one of those things that happened in the heat of the moment. They were friends, but just in the heat of the moment, that happened,
Yeah. Well, that's the way baseball is. In the heat of the moment, man, you can let it go for one moment, even if it's a friend sometimes. But the good thing always about that, you always come back and apologize, and we're
Oh,
teammates.
yeah, no,
That's the good thing about it.
Correct.
you
Correct.
know, we had such a, even though we didn't have the greatest team when I came up, Mike started coming up when the team was starting getting pretty good. You started getting the catfishes, and then you started.
It all changed when Steinbrenner came along.
Oh yeah, no, George. Let me tell you something.
73.
There's a lot of guys to this day will say, "I love George. George was great to me," but he was a type of guy. He was a type of guy. If you did not give it 120%, you're gone. And I mean, he'll call up Martin, he'll call up Billy, and say, I want this guy. He's not going to play anymore. Take him out. He's going to go down to AAA. At that time, if you sit down to AAA, you're never going to come back. Yeah. Nowadays, they keep on coming back like every other day. And, but he was, did you have any problems with George, Mike?
No, not at all. I remember in spring training, all the guys kept getting on me. I need to get my hair cut and all that before George gets here. You better tuck it. And they were just teasing me, Nettles and all them. But as you can see now, I think all of us, Mr. Steinbrenner would love us right now.
Oh, no, we lost today.
He would love our haircuts now.
Yeah.
But no, he always treated me. I could tell a story about Thurman's funeral and all that, but I was not well. I guess I can say it now.
You can say it. You can say it.
Yeah. So when I got there and all that after the funeral, I don't know who walked up to me because I came from Oakland. I flew in for the funeral. So a guy walks up to me after the sermon. He shakes my hand. He grabs my hand. And he says, "George wanted you to have this, and I want you to not say anything about it. Don't mention it to nobody or anything like that." And he squeezed my hand. I'm like, "Oh, okay, I won't say anything. George is happy you're here. He really appreciates you being here." So he said, "Mr. Steinbrenner." So I took my hand back and I looked, and there was $700 in there to pay for my plane flight to go back and forth from Oakland to Canton. He paid for my flight and everything, and he just wanted to be anonymous about it.
Yeah, people don't realize. He was a businessman, but he was a fan too, and he wanted more than anything. And Joe, more than anything, he wanted to bring back a winner to the Yankees, because when CBS owned the team, when I got drafted by the Yankees, CBS was looking at the Yankees as just a business losing proposition where we had like 8,000 or 9,000 people at the stadium. But when George came in 73, and we had Bill Verdon, who was a manager at that particular time, he got rid of Bill Verdon. Mel Wright, who was a pitching coach, got rid of the staff other than, Ellie and all those people. And he came in and he looked at us, he said, and he brought all the minority owners down. He said, this guy did this, this guy did this, this guy did this. It was just like bringing in Apple, the guy who owns, Facebook and Apple and all those guys. And, I forget their names because I'm talking too quick. But, it's all these guys that were multi-billionaire guys that living from Cleveland were in the horse business, or they're in the shipbuilding business. He sat down, he said, anything that you want, you let me know. Money is not an object. And the first thing I said, this is what I did. I said, Steinbrenner. I said, this guy must be Jewish. I went over to him. I said, George, I'd like to negotiate another contract with you. and somebody, I think Marty Appel said, the guy's not Jewish like that. And I said, oh no, like that. But we had a small little thing, but he was always great to us. And I'm up at the stadium quite a bit during the off season. We'll have meet and greets at the stadium. Okay. And unfortunately for last year and a half, we haven't done anything. But when George, he looked at, when Robinson Cano was running, he was with the Yankees and he had a little bit of problems out, really didn't run to first base real hard, and people were booing him and stuff like that. And, and George would have killed him, but nothing happened to him, because he was making so much money. But George, hey, what I'm trying to say, he's a wonderful, wonderful man. I loved him. He took care of us if you gave 120%.
Do you guys remember? I don't know if he did it when you were playing, Ronnie, but Michael remember this. Remember we used to go into Cleveland, Mike, and we can go into any restaurant we wanted to.
The theatrical. You went to the theatrical.
Theatrical, and the pewter mug was another one. They had the best hamburgers in the
Peter Joyce's, and there's the one at Peter Joyce.
Yeah,
Peter Joyce.
You remember Peter Joyce?
Yeah, I just remember that we used to go anywhere we wanted. As a matter of fact, that was Joe Pepitone's last night with the Yankees when he came back to be a hitting coach. He was in a theatrical drinking all night, went back to the hotel, and we didn't see him the next day. We said, "Where's Joe?" He went home. He went home. I swear to God, it's a true story. He drank so much, he said, I got to get out. I'm going home, he said.
Oh, my God.
Oh, well, hey, when I first came up in '69, I'm 19 years old. I get into the clubhouse. It was the last 30 days, in September. They brought in some guys. Joe Pepitone was the only guy that wasn't there. And I'm looking for him because I used to watch him hit on TV all the time. Great hitter. He really had the quickest bat, really a super hitter. And we had a big meeting. Joe left the team for 4 days, went fishing on Long Island. He never showed up when the only time I was up in New York. He left. He left for 4 days. And
but he showed up on your show, didn't he? He was on your show, right?
Oh yeah, he thought I was going to give him some money. That's why he came on my show.
Well, the story I have about when I first came up, 78, I get the call to come up from AA. And you know how excited you are being a rookie coming in. So I'm walking into the clubhouse, the Yankee Stadium, and I'm like, damn, this is it, man. Wow. Called up. And Pete Sheehy come up to me and he says, "Hey, nice to meet, nice to see you, and blah, blah, blah. And your locker's right over here." Thank you, Pete. He goes, "I'm the guy that's going to take care of everything." And so I get at my locker. As soon as you come in the door, my locker was on the left, and I hear all this yelling and all this noise in this back room to the right. I'm like, what the heck's going on here, right? So I hear this, catcher, we don't need no damn rookie catcher. We need pitching on this ball club. Catching is the last thing we need, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, holy crap, they're talking about me. So the press comes walking out, and they walk by, and they ask me a few questions and all that. And I'm like, I'm just happy to be here, typical story from a rookie. Well, about 5 minutes later, Billy walks out of his room, and he goes, "Hey, Mike Heath," he says, "Hey, nice seeing you, son. I'm glad you're here. Boy, we could really use you." I'm like, wait a minute, I just heard y'all needed pitching.
Oh, gosh.
So, but getting back, for me with Billy, I felt that I had a great relationship with Billy when I went to Oakland and all that. I just think that he and I, player coach wise, I was one of those guys that could talk back to him and he really wouldn't get mad at me. You know what I mean? He'd just talk back to me and then call me to the side later on and just, tell me what's going on. But I felt that I had a great relationship with him. And, I played hard for him every day, but I loved Billy Martin as a manager.
Well, Mike, you were a guy that he loved because you were like him. You played the game on your, you played the game like on your sleeve. You know what I mean? Yeah. I remember a couple of times when guys tried to knock you over at the plate, you came up. I saw you biting your lip like you wanted to go after the guy. You know what I mean? I remember that stuff.
Oh, this guy was scrappy. He
was a tough guy.
Oh, if Thurman wasn't our catcher, he would be our catcher for many, many years. Mm-hmm. And I told, even when Dempsey came in, Dempsey was a good ball player. When he came to Baltimore, he really flourished. Okay. But when you have somebody like Thurman in front of you, it's like going with Terry Bradshaw. It's like Peyton and Eli Manning, who's behind you. You like that when I said Eli Manning, right? Joe liked that when I said Eli Manning. Archie was a real good friend of mine. Okay.
Terry
But
Bradshaw
anyway,
and Terry
but
Handwriting.
anyway, when you have those quarterbacks, I mean, the only way that you go actually play is you get hurt. And Thurman really, hey, he never got injured much. I mean, he would never show it.
He would
Thurman
never show it. Yeah.
No, never.
Yeah.
No. I mean,
Yeah,
I took
Thurman
this-
used to talk to me a lot. Him and Elston Howard talked to me quite a bit. And Thurman actually, he sat me down one day and was talking to me about how to block home plate. Because people, you got to remember, I was drafted as a shortstop, and then they moved me to a catcher.
yeah.
So I had to learn as I went through there. And within a year and a half, after moving me to a catcher, I guess I adapted to the position a lot better than I did shortstop, and I was in the big leagues. But Thurman sat me down one day and taught me and talked to me how to block the home plate. He told me, if there's going to be a tag play, a throw comes from the outfield, give them the backside, get up in front of the plate a little bit, get off, don't get on the line, give them the backside of the plate, then take it away from them when the ball's coming.
Correct.
And he taught me a lot about that.
That's great.
Joe,
That's
let
great
me ask
stuff.
you a question. Joe, being a fan,
Yeah.
do you like the ball? You like the game of baseball when we played baseball, or do you like the game how it is now? How do you like it?
Hate it now. Hate it. And I
Still,
understand they
okay.
got to do it for fans, with all the theatrics now. But it's always like, I guess you get older, everybody appreciates it. I'm sure the 50s baseballs and 60s guys hated the 70s and 80s, but I love 70s and 80s baseball. And when I was growing up, my Mickey Mantle was Bobby Mercer. And you mentioned Jerry Kenny. I remember he came from a trade with the Chicago White Sox. You remember
Cleveland Indians.
I mean, those 70 teams, I know Ron Woods, Jim Lido, Celerino Sanchez, Roy Smalley, all those guys. Those were my baseball years. So I follow them now. I'm a hardcore Giants fan, Rangers and Yankees. And I haven't been to the new Yankee Stadium. I won't go. There's too many memories in the old Yankee Stadium. I haven't gone. And that picture I showed you of my father.
And Joe DiMaggio.
See if you could put that up so the other guys could see it.
Yeah, put that up.
That was in 1938.
Do you
Wow.
have it?
Wow.
Do you have the
1930.
picture? Lenny, can you put the picture up? Wait, he's gonna put the picture up. Look at that.
Oh.
Look how young he is.
My father's 18 in there. Joe D was his guy. But before Joe D was Tony Lazzeri. He was the original Italian-American, baseball player, baseball
Sure.
star in New York. And then, of course, Joe DiMaggio.
Great picture.
Oh, that's a great. Oh,
And see that little patch on Joe D's arm?
what is that?
The World's Fair was coming to New York in 1938.
There you go.
So,
Nice.
Yeah, when you look at when we played, in 60s, 70s, 80s, we look back at the guys that played in the 20s and,
Oh, yeah.
and all that. Those guys were studs with the equipment they had and the numbers they put up. The guys today look at us when we played and say, "Oh, those guys weren't nothing. They don't even think nothing of us."
Yeah.
But we remember the guys. Can you imagine playing back in the 20s and the equipment they had and the bats they had and how good those guys were? They had to be awesome back in the day.
I think the biggest difference was the gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it looked like a pancake. These gloves looked like pancakes back then.
Like a hand.
Yeah, and these people, you know what? These people get upset now because they say, well, this ball doesn't travel as far. It's not as juiced up like it has been in the last 3 or 4 years, where they hit the ball, everybody's hitting the ball 600 feet. When we played, we had like little marsh, the balls are like, it was nothing in there. And you look at Frank Howard and Harmon Killebrew and Richie Allen hitting all those home runs. Oh, God, and these guys now, they hitting the ball top of the stadium.
Yeah.
These balls are so juiced. These pitchers don't want to even pitch. They won't even throw batting practice, these guys anymore, because they hit them too hard.
Yeah. Well, now they changed the ball this year.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
changed
I'm
it this
hearing.
year, and they're arguing. I was listening. There was 2 or 3 guys said the pitcher said, "I like this ball," and a couple of hitters said, "It doesn't travel as far." Like that, and that's all they care about. You know what? Hey, when we played, the name of the game is to get the guy from first to third, right? Get the guy in. Nowadays, it's a 2-run home run or a 3-run home run.
It's like
That's all they play for.
The
It's
Boston Red Sox.
Oh,
Do you know
the
what
home run.
do
The
you
home
know what
run
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm
once
sorry,
again,
go ahead.
I'm just gonna say the home run is like the 3-point shot. I mean, it's not, there's no passing in basketball. It's everything from beyond the 3. Same thing with, it's like a 3-run home run, 3-point shot. Go ahead, Dom.
You want to hear an incredible thing, incredible stat that I heard? You talk about like how the home run is so prevalent now. Guys are not stealing bases. They're not hitting and running. Mike Trout only had 1 stolen base last year. Mike Trout, now that's his forte, is being a 5-tool player.
yeah.
I mean, he normally steals 30, 35 bases a year and hits 40 home runs, knocks in 120 runs. He only had 1 stolen base because they don't want him to run into outs anymore, just in case he does get thrown out. They want the guy to get up there and hit the home run. Hey, look, the bats are harder, the balls were harder, the fields are shorter, right? They're not like the old Yankee Stadium where
Oh,
you play.
God.
Yeah.
Get the ball up in the air, it's a home run.
You know what I mean? They hit the ball up. They got these uppercut swings. The ball goes in the air and it just keeps going.
Yeah, no more gaps are done.
Yeah, they talk about the velocity. If we hit a home run, we just want to see it go over the fence, right?
Yeah.
These guys, they don't care about, they watch the home run. They'll flip the bat 20 feet up in the air and they'll watch it. And then they'll run from third base to home and then they jump. If a guy did that to Bob Gibson or Catfish or Sparky or Jim Palmer or Gaylord, Steve Carlton, if they did that, they would get juiced.
Yeah.
I mean, would they get juiced? I mean, these guys now, now they got all this armor on them. They look like, they got more armor they do than the Giants or the Jets. They got the, do they do that in college? Now, Dom is I don't know, Mike, Joe, well, you knew he was a head baseball coach for Long Island, don't you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, do they put all this equipment on their arms? And
some guys have it, not everybody, but some guys do have it. No, not a lot. Some guys have elbow guards or maybe a shin guard if they foul the ball off their shins or their foot a lot. You know what I mean? But most of the college kids are pretty good as far as like being tough and everything, especially some of the guys that I get, they do lift, they do like to be strong. The strength part of the game is a big thing. The agility part of the game, we do agilities, we do strength training and stuff like that. We have the Rapsodo system. We have blast motion. However, I don't use it every day. Like, the big league guys now, they, like you said, they taking it back. They go in the tunnel. There's the video room right next to the dugout, right inside the dugout. They go in there and they look at it,
they watch everything.
We don't do that stuff. But we do use it for certain things. You know what I mean?
Well, here we had strength and conditioning. I mean, the Yankees were one of the first teams back in 75 or 6 that got the Nautilus equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
And Hopalong Cassidy was our instructor in there. So Hoppy, he'd bring us in there, work us out early spring training.
And when you look at him, everybody said, Hop, you sure you played football?
Yeah, no.
He was like 5'5" like that. You probably played on a Pop Warner team or a midget football.
Yeah.
How did you get the Heisman? You got the Heisman because nobody showed up. Somebody didn't have anything to get into. Hop along.
You heard the story. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
I was on a extensive weight program. It started in '84 for me, and it was a lot of strength and conditioning, and I worked out a lot. But what I'm not understanding, they talk about these guys today, they're so much stronger and this, that, and the other. And how come there's so many guys on the DL all the time?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. I mean, we hardly ever got hurt.
Yeah, everybody's getting oblique pulls and all that.
Everybody, how do you do that? We used to just swing and swing and swing. We swung our whole lives. And now, you go to the stadium, these guys are lifting weights. When they go to the stadium, it's their turn to lift weights. After the game, it's your turn to go lift weights. Sure. I mean, just like David Cohn said to me, I was up in the press box doing some stuff, and he said, Bloomy, have you ever seen a fat guy pull a muscle? I think about it. I said, no. Babe Ruth never pulled a muscle. Any of those guys pulled muscles. I mean, how do you pull your side muscle? They pull it because they don't have 22% body fat. They got 3% body fat. And when you have muscles, you got to have cushions when you swing. And these guys are swinging and they get put on the DL for 3 months. But they don't care. They got the 4-year contract and they still making $100 million and they don't care. I mean,
that's a good point.
When we played, hey, if we're trying to, from Gay Paul, we're trying to get $100 or $200, we're doing good, aren't we? And you go in there, well, you hit 300, you hit 296, you drove in 60 runs and you had 220 at bats. You say, yeah, but you struck out against Milwaukee and you left this guy at third base. We're not going to give you a raise. When they say that?
Yeah, I remember in Oakland, I had a pretty good year. It was when I first got over there. It might have been 80, 82. And, when Charlie still owned the team. And so Charlie told me he was going to give me a $10,000 raise. Man, I'm living large, right? Well, what happened was it put me in another tax bracket out in Oakland, California, and I made less money. Got home less money a month. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Don't you made?
Hey, he was a character, that guy.
He used to bring in the mules before the ball games. They used to ride the mules in there, and they had the orange baseball. Remember, they had Herb Washington, who was the designated runner. And
yes.
He ran from the University of Michigan, and he ran like sprints. He had every record in the world, but he never played baseball, and he couldn't. And he I mean, whenever they put him on first base, he always got picked off at first base.
He got picked off.
Always, because he didn't know how to. They thought because he was fast, he's going to beat the ball.
Yeah.
When you have Thurman, let me tell you something. When you have Thurman catching, and let me tell you something. And he's probably the most, and Mike would tell you, he's the most unorthodox thrower. Am I right? He'll throw from the sides. He'll throw underneath.
From the side.
Oh, yeah, all the time. And here's a guy right here. This guy had the best arm in the world. If he ever got to use it with the Yankees, I mean, he could have been great too because he was quick with his hands and stuff. But when Herb Washington, when he used to run, we used to laugh at him, because he had no idea, he was always, it was a big deal. They used to bring him from the bench and they used to talk to whoever was on first base, Felipe or whoever was on first base at that particular time. And then he didn't know that like Sparky's going to throw over there and pick him off. He got thrown out all the time. But
I talked to Thurman one time, because he threw a little 3-quarter and whatever he had to get it done, He told me that he hurt his thumb real bad one year and he couldn't get on top of the ball and put the pressure on the thumb to throw. So that's why he started getting on the side of the ball a little 3-quarter-ish.
Is this when he was in professional or was he in college then?
I didn't go further in the conversation, but he's, that's what he told me. He hurt his thumb real bad. So it bothered him sometimes to get on top to put the pressure on the thumb to throw. Quickest
release I've ever seen as a catcher.
Amen.
It never touched his glove.
Amen.
For some reason, I mean, it just like,
he just directed the ball. He didn't catch it. Then he just directed it.
It looked like he was throwing it before the ball even got to him.
Yeah, man.
You know what? I wanted to go back just a second on what we were talking about before about guys getting hurt. I have a theory that I believe will hold true. As you know, when we were there, we took infield and outfield practice before the game. Okay. These guys now, they don't take that stuff anymore. Now, what happens is you take your batting practice, you let's say you're the Yankees, you're at Yankee Stadium, you take your batting practice, you're off the field, at 5 o'clock or 5:30. You don't start the game until 7. You got an hour and a half inside. They're eating, they're playing cards, they got chefs in there, they're making them meals, all kind of stuff. And then they go out on the field, and I watch them when I go to the game sometimes.
They don't even warm up.
They do these little stretches, and they go like this, and they
Yeah.
go like that, and they run like a couple of
Friends out in the outfield, yeah.
And I say, how the hell can this is one of the reasons why they remember we used to take infield outfield.
Oh, you had to.
When it was a hot night,
Oh,
you go out, you get a nice sweat, you come in, you change your clothes, maybe take a shower real quick, boom, you got the adrenaline flowing, you get on the
Yep.
field and you play. I believe that's a big thing. When I play with my team, somebody says to me, do you want to take infield today? Like, I take infield every day. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
You got to get that blood flowing, I feel.
I agree.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
totally
gotta
agree
get the
with you.
blood flowing.
They don't want to get hurt. They don't
That's
want
a
to,
tradition.
they don't
Yep.
want to get hurt. They don't want to baby these guys. How
Yep.
many pitchers have you caught and they're throwing the ball real well and the manager comes out and say, I want to take this guy out. How many guys will let into the manager and destroy him, and say, get out of here. I'm pitching. Get out of here. And
Yeah.
before the manager even gets to the mound, go, I'm pitching. Nowadays, they see a manager, they walking off the field and they handing them the ball because they know they're gone after like 60 pitches. How in the world they do that?
From
Yeah,
what
but-
I'm understanding, the managers aren't making the calls on that.
No.
It's the analytic team that does.
Correct. Correct.
And if he's been around, this is a second time around, well, he doesn't fare well, then the analytics calls down and the manager goes out and get him. I seen Jack Morris literally will not come off that mound. I seen guys back in
Yankees would
Oakland and
never
with the
come.
Yankees. This is my game to win or lose, and I'm staying in here.
You try
Rigetti was like that a lot. I remember back in the day. And Gator, forget about
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh,
You
yeah.
don't
Forget
take
about
him.
him.
No, you don't take him. You don't take Catfish off. You don't take Spark. Hey, these guys are going to finish the game. They get ripped. That's one thing. But these guys, nah. You just let them pitch.
Did you hear about Zach Britton?
Yeah.
Today from the Yankees?
Elbow.
Gonna be out like 3 months,
Yeah. 3 months going to be 6 months because he just signed a 4-year deal. So what's the deal?
You know what?
Hey,
You know what's funny about that? Being a college coach, and I recruit guys, and we've recruited some pretty good pitchers in the days that I've been there. But you know what? I don't like when I watch a kid. If a kid is a max effort guy, now you know what that means, right? Being a max effort guy. A guy that when he's throwing, you can see he's just throwing all he's got rather than that guy like, I was watching Zach Wheeler the other day against the Yankees with Philadelphia. Zach Wheeler throws 98, nice and easy. This is what he does. He's got that flick at the end. You know what I mean? He's got that flick there where,
the ball just hops off.
it just hops off his hand.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Britton, he's a violent, another word that I use when I look at a kid, so if he's violent on the mound, like he's got that violent delivery where he's really trying to get through the ball. And listen, Zach Britton's a great pitcher, I believe. He got that great sinker.
Oh, he has great
You know
stuff.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And 98, sinking, that's tough to catch, Mike. You could just imagine how it is to hit. I used to tell people I was in the bullpen, if a guy is tough to catch, he's got to be tough to hit.
I'll give you, amen. I'll give you another guy that when you were talking about sinker and a heavy ball, how about Gil Patterson?
Gil Patterson, yeah. Dick
Hey,
Tidrow.
Gil had great stuff. Wait, once he hurt his arm right-handed, he started throwing left-handed.
Quick to throw left-handed.
People don't realize that.
I remember that.
I remember first catching him right when he went down to Dominican and Puerto Rico when he hurt his arm.
His ball was heavy. Whoa.
Oh my God. It was like catching a bowling ball.
Oh, his ball. Oh, heavy.
Dick
We'll get
Tidrow
Joe
was
to go
another.
ahead.
Dick
We'll bring
Tidrow
Joe
was
in.
another guy.
Who?
Dick
Dick
Tidrow.
Tidrow. Dirty.
Yeah, Dirt.
Dirt. They call him Dirt.
Yeah.
He was tough.
Yeah, he threw a heavy ball. But these guys nowadays, they're just Yeah, I just hate to tell you, I mean, these guys, it's not like it used to be, and when we came up and you came, and you see it in college ball because they all want to sign professionally. So they have to give it all they have. If they jake it out, they don't know who's out there watching them. So they really have to give 120%. And, but what I think would kill sports, and I'm a pro player, is all these free agents and signing for like $200 million and $300 million. They could have bought the whole league when I played. When you played, these guys could have bought the whole league, Mike.
Oh, easy.
They could have bought the whole league and say, I just want every team,
Yeah.
What is going on, guys? What is going on with these 14-year contracts? I mean, didn't they have enough with Stanton?
How about Ellsbury?
Ellsbury, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wait a second. Hey, Joe, what are you making?
What are you making?
Some spaghetti dish.
A spaghetti dish?
Yeah,
Joe, is that your restaurant?
I was guest chefing. I was a chef before an actor.
Nice.
Where were you? Where, in the city?
I don't know where that was. I lived in New Orleans for a couple of years. I worked in Manhattan, Los Angeles.
Hey, when we come up, are you going to cook for us?
Love to.
Oh, no. Wait a second. Down south, and Liddy's going to hate me. We get spaghetti and meatballs. We get meatballs, and we put ragu sauce on it.
Oh,
That's what we do. Oh, hey, wait a second. Hey, yeah, but we do that down south. Hey, that's down south.
Come on.
Sometimes in the sauce we put spam instead of meatballs.
Oh. And we use ramen noodles. You know what I like more than noodles? Ramen noodles, because they're soft. I love that stuff.
Hey,
Ron,
I got a question for Joe.
Yeah.
Wait, before I get to that, Ron, you're Jewish.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you never wanted spaghetti in a diner, and I was there with a Jewish friend. Not only did you get the spaghetti, he put ketchup on it.
No, I don't like that. No.
I had to go outside and I gotta be
No.
with
honest.
a glass of milk.
No, you know what they do down south? If they get a knish, they get ketchup and put it on a knish. They don't use the mustard. They don't put the mustard on it. They put ketchup on it. Ask Mike. Mike lives in Florida now, don't you?
Yep.
You live in Florida.
Born and raised here, man.
Where do you
Born
live
and
now?
raised in Tampa, huh?
Are you in Tampa now?
Yeah, I was born and raised here.
Where you really? What high school did you go to down there?
Hillsboro.
Oh, you
nice.
did.
Yeah, that's Gooden, Sheffield. I mean, there's
Tino,
that's a big school.
Tino never did that. Panella didn't go there, did he?
no. Panella went to Jefferson.
Okay.
So did Jefferson and Tony LaRussa. They all went
Really?
to. I think they went to Jefferson. Yeah.
Who's gonna ask me something?
Yeah, Mike Heath. Here, I want to know who was your all-time Yankee player favorite, and who is
Bobby
your?
Murphy.
Yeah, that's right. I did remember hearing that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And who's your all-time favorite player in baseball? Period.
You could go all the way back as far as you want to.
George Sisler.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You shocked us. We don't know what to say.
Yeah. No, listen,
Hey,
I'm a baseball
you stumped us,
historian.
big guy.
I'm a baseball historian.
Not being in the
So,
Hall of Fame.
it's hard to say. I was a big Bob Gibson fan. But I was gonna ask you guys, who on the and I know who I think it would be, but who on the current Yankee team right now would you say is like a throwback into the 60s and 70s?
Brett Gardner. Brett Gardner.
Okay, I was gonna say LeMahieu, but I can see Brett Gardner.
Aaron Boone.
Yeah, no, I would say Brett Gardner and LeMahieu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, LeMahieu, I've seen him. He's a great hitter. I mean, he's a great hitter. He's a great player. But I have seen, I saw, Brett when he came up from the minor leagues and what he's achieved. Here's a guy did not have, he's a great ball player, but he is blessed with not great talent. Okay. But this guy gives 120% every time he goes out to the field. You know what you're going to get with him. And that's why I think it was a great to have him come back to the Yankees, even if he doesn't play much, but just to be in the locker room.
Yeah.
And you got somebody that can come off the bench and get some base hits and to go in and play defense for you. I think he's going to be one of the major guys. If this team doesn't have too many injuries, I think he's going to be a key element on this team.
There's no doubt about it.
Those guys that come off that bench and, like, let's say a star gets hurt and a guy's got to fill in for him for 2 weeks. That guy right there, that's the toughest job in baseball. Ooh. That guy that has to come off the bench and fill in for that guy because, man, he might not be able to play every day, but, man, he's got to come off that bench for 2 weeks to fill that spot and do the job and do it really good, man.
You know what these guys have now? But what we didn't have, they had cages to hit on. If they're going to go pinch hit, they got a left-handed pitcher. If they're going to throw a left hand at you, throw BP. They got right-hander. Then they have an infield. Then they could take infield. I mean, where we didn't have any of that stuff. No. These guys, when they come and sitting on the bench, they know it's the 6th or 7th inning that they better go down and loosen up. Then they get a good sweat. And if they get a good sweat, they could go in. Like us, what do? I mean, you go into a clubhouse and say, Pete, I'm hungry. Give me a knish. That's all we had.
Well, Mike, that's a good point that you made, about a guy coming off the bench. I preach that to my guys all the time about staying ready. Those are big words for me. I tell them, man, you guys got to stay ready because I can only play 8 guys in a pitcher at a time. However, a guy tweaks an ankle or a guy hurts his elbow, and you got to be ready to fill in where he becomes unnoticed that he's out of there because now you're doing the job. Now I got to make adjustments to try to keep you in the lineup and get the other guy there too. So you make me make the lineup by your actions of what you do. So that's why, even though you're not playing, and I'm going to tell you something, I can tell you 10 examples through my 17 years being a head coach, where a freshman will come out of nowhere and go 5-0, and that's how you get to the finals of the NCAA championship. Or a guy breaks his gets hit with a pitch and breaks his wrist. He's leading the team in RBIs, and now all of a sudden another guy comes off the bench, and all of a sudden he's out there and he's unnoticed that the guy's unnoticed that he's gone because the other guy's doing the job. So that's very, very important.
This is what I was leading up to.
Yeah.
And the guy that brings that to mind, how important that position or job is in the big leagues is Brian Doyle.
Oh, Brian Doyle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Willie Randolph gets hurt. What does Brian do? Come in and play the whole series and didn't miss a lick, batted 4 something.
Yeah.
And, actually, Bucky won the MVP, but Brian Doyle probably deserved it just as much as he did.
Do you know
Brian.
Do you know the story about that, Mike? I don't know if you remember, but Brian Doyle was only supposed to get a quarter share of the World Series. After the World Series, they upped him to a full share.
Yeah. Well,
he only had a month in the big leagues, I think, right at that time.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Perfect system. Willie couldn't play. Willie's hurt, and here's that guy coming off the bench and doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
His brother was Denny Doyle, wasn't it?
Yeah, Denny.
Denny Blake, Denny, and Brian Doyle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You couldn't find a better human being than the Doyles. I mean, it really, Brian, has Parkinson. Did you know that?
Yes.
No, I did not.
He's had Parkinson for how many years? Probably about
10.
Has it been that long? About 10 years?
About 10 years, yeah. Because I remember being at the Old Timers Day several years ago. He had it. He was shaking a little bit.
And he wanted to play. And he played, and he got up to bat. And he played and got up to bat.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Hey, let me ask you guys. You know that the Yalu brothers, right? Felipe, Manny,
and Manny, and Jesus. Sure.
You know the 4th brother was the best out of all of them.
No
I
kidding.
didn't know the 4th brother.
Yeah, Baba.
Bubba,
Baba. What is it?
he got you.
Hey, Dom, where do you get this guy? Oh, where do you get this guy from? Send him back to the
How you
restaurant.
doing, Joe? How you doing, Joe?
We should
Dom,
have you
where
and
did you grow up?
Pepitone together.
I want to
Dom, where
share
did you grow
something
up,
with
Dom?
you guys. I want to share something with you guys. I'm in my memorabilia room, and I just wanted to show you something here. Do you see this? Can you see this picture, or is it like backwards or something?
Is that
Oh, it's
Rizzuto?
Can you, do you know who these people are in this picture? Can
Wait,
you
Is that
make it?
Rizzuto? Is that Rizzuto?
That's Rizzuto. That's
That's
Rizzuto
you.
right
That's
there.
you.
That's me in the middle of, look at this, look at the guys.
Joe
I'm in the middle of.
DiMaggio and who?
Yeah.
And Gene Michaels and no
Wow.
Al Kaline.
No, look at to the right of me or to the left on your.
That's
Uh,
Mickey.
That's Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Mickey Mantle, a young guy. He must have been 50 years old then, you know?
He looks
and
like
then
he
I'm
was
gonna-
sleep. He looked like he was sleeping on your shoulder. He didn't come in that night.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna do one thing, because this is I tell people when I come down, sometimes they come in my basement and they check out all the stuff. And I say to them, do you know who the guy is next to Joe DiMaggio? If you can tell me who it is, I'll send you one of my books autographed. Can you name who that is? I'll give you a hint. Okay? I'll give you a hint. The girl next to him was his wife, of course. He was an ex-Yankee catcher, Mike. An ex-Yankee catcher.
How old was he?
Right there?
Yeah.
Hey, he looked pretty old. He looked like he was like 60, 70.
Charlie Silvera.
Nope.
Give us a hint.
Number
Now, wait
8.
a second. Did he play in the big leagues or the minor leagues?
Oh, he played in the big leagues. He was a star, man. Come on.
How? Really?
No.
Bill Dickey.
Bill Dickey right there, man. It's
Bill Dickey.
That's
That
Bill
was
Dickey.
Bill Dickey. Golly.
That was like
didn't see
circa
that.
1980, Old Timers Day. Mike, Ronnie,
Dickey.
Old Timers Day was unbelievable back then.
Oh.
Joe, you remember that? You remember going Old Timers Day back then?
Those are the 2 number 8s retired.
Yep,
Oh.
2 number. And Yogi is the guy that's got his hand above Rizzuto's head. He put gum on his hat right there, if you could see it. There's a piece of gum on his hat.
They always did that. Always did that. Yogi always used to do that. There's
And here's
Yogi.
another
Let me
one.
see.
Look at this picture. You know what that is, right?
Yogi, is that you in center?
That's me
And Billy.
and Billy during
Yeah.
a rain delay in
And you know who
Baltimore.
is wait a second. You don't know who's filming. You don't know who's taking pictures. Michael Grossbart.
Is that who that is?
You don't remember Michael Grossbart?
No, I
Michael,
don't
you
remember.
remember Michael Grossbart? You're the guy that used to take pictures of us.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know
I
the
was
guy-
just in awe, man. I
the guy-
don't remember much.
No, wait a second. Down in spring training, the guy had a fro. He had
Oh, I remember the fro.
he had a big fro and always wore bell-bottom pants. And Thurman always used to every time he saw him, took a bat and whopped him in the stomach.
That wasn't Ronnie Gamble?
So listen, Joe, there's a story about this. You know what it is? A reporter, that was like right before the game was going to start, but they had the tarp on the field. So the reporters were allowed in the dugout until they told them that they were taking the tarps off the field. So the reporter said to us, actually, he addressed it to Yogi. He said, hey, Yogi, you think it's going to stop raining? He goes, it always does. I had to tell you that story.
No,
was like
where
the-
did you grow up,
Like
Dom?
that was like the Affleck. The Affleck done.
Oh, let me tell you something. What an icon for the game.
Yeah.
He was the best of the best.
And we were around them. That was like, that's the unbelievable part. We were around them.
And that wasn't even in his book. You know what I mean? He always said these things. He had no idea what he was talking about.
Oh, man.
Hey,
I
it's
tell
going to
you
rain. It's going to stop raining. It always does.
what, it always does. He said.
Always does.
That's a great one.
Oh, me. Let me tell you something. We had some fun. You know,
Yeah.
we really did. And, you know, doing these Zooms is so much fun. Michael, do you do a lot of Zooms or have you?
I do not. I don't get requested. I did one, several months ago, but I don't get many requests to do them.
Probably people don't know where you are.
People hit me up on Facebook every once in a while and they'll see and send friend requests, but I don't accept all of them. But it gets out here and there, and then I'll get a text from somebody. That's how it happened last time. But I
We
don't
gotta
do
have
many
you
of
on a
them.
lot more. No, you and Dom, and Joe, we gotta have you all on. And I know, Joe, we didn't let you talk much. Well, we're sorry. But when ball players get together, they're like animals. We got so many tales to tell. Joe, I know when you go in your kitchen, you probably tell us where they put in our food. We don't want to know.
Listen,
don't
wanna
I enjoyed
Joe,
listening.
let Joe tell us a story about the Sopranos. Come on.
Yeah, you gotta tell us. Come
James
on.
Gandolfini.
Okay.
Come on,
The
man.
one that they
Lorraine
filmed
Bracco. Those are legends.
filmed
Yeah.
it.
Those are
Dominic.
legends you were with.
Where did you grow up, Dom?
I grew up in Brooklyn, Greenpoint, Williamsburg.
Okay, so I'm from Gravesend,
Okay. I played ball there.
right? And I went to Lafayette, Johnny Franco, and Stanley Koufax.
Pete Falcone went there, didn't
And
he?
with the
Well,
Wilpons too, and the Wilpons,
The
went to high school
Wilpons
there.
and Sam Ratigliano, coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
So Soprano, listen, you guys were part of the greatest name in all of sports. I like to think about it. I was a part of the greatest TV show of,
You betcha. You betcha,
Yeah.
man.
and I made my mark, and you guys made your mark, and here we are.
That's great, man.
I
You were
tell
great.
you,
You were
I
great
used to-
on that show.
Yeah. I
Oh, yeah.
watched it constantly. Then I binged watched it again. I bought the whole series and binged watched it. I love it.
Well, I'll give you a little fact that maybe you guys don't know. The first year, in the first season, I was a different character. Little bakery scene. Christopher shoots the guy in the foot. I was a bakery customer, Gino. They brought me back as Vito. And that was great. I got to kill Yankee Jr. in the third season. The fourth season, I was reading a book called Murder Machine, true story about a Brooklyn guy. Had a crew who was notorious. He had a gay character, a gay mobster in his crew. I brought the idea to the writers.
Wow.
And they said, listen, this is something you don't see in a mob thing. I'd be willing to do it. Now, being from Brooklyn, that's not easy, right, Dom? Play the
Sure.
gay guy. But I did it because I wanted to prove I could act. I wanted more, screen time. I wanted a storyline, and it changed my life. So, right place, right time, but sometimes you got to think outside the box.
Good for you,
Right.
man.
And I
Good for
tell
you.
everybody that,
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
that's why I'm on this thing right now, because if I would have been a background guy with a couple lines here and there, but that's what I did.
No, Joe. You're a main man. You're part of the Yankee family now.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
part of the Yankee family. No. What you need to do, Mike, is contact the Yankees. You're right in Tampa, and Gil Patterson lives down there. You see Gil probably all the time.
I speak to him occasionally.
Yeah, you need to call up the Yankees and tell them you want to come down to Yankee fantasy camp.
There's a story behind that. There's been a couple of guys, Gator and a couple other guys that said they're going to throw my name out there.
Yeah, you got to call them.
They did contact me 2 years ago, but it coincided with the Detroit Tigers. And I told them I can make another week if they had it, but they said, no, we need you for that week. And the Tigers have been
up in Lakeland. Yeah.
Yeah, constantly. I've been in the fantasy camp with them, but I told them I would if they let me know, I'd love to do a Yankee fantasy camp. I'd love it.
You should tell them, Joe, you love baseball, right? You probably grew up playing stickball your whole life, right? And Dom, you played stickball your whole life, right?
Sure.
100%.
Dom, you should ask them to come down to fantasy camp too.
It's hard for me to come at that time because we start practices with baseball, with the Delphi.
Well, okay, but y'all
I
actually
can.
start. No, you can start. They got a camp in November. Are you in baseball?
Oh, they do? Oh,
Yeah, they
have
got
one
a camp in November, and they got a camp in January. They got 5 camps now. They got 5 camps now. And I mean, it's of course, for last year we didn't have camp, or I don't think this year we're going to have. We might, but who knows? But anyway, y'all should call up and find out if you could go to camp. Mike, I mean, you right in Tampa. All the guys, there's a lot of guys lives in Tampa. Derek Shelton. Do you know Derek
Time to
Shelton?
wrap it up.
Oh, I love talking.
Lenny, where are you?
Where are you, Lenny?
Hey, what was that? That's God speaking. Oh, it's Lenny. I'm sorry.
This is the voice of God.
Lenny.
Lenny,
Well-
we're just having such a great time.
Let me tell you something. Hey, Joe, Disco, Mike, y'all are the best. This is fun. You know, I started this 8 months ago. I had no idea how to do any of this stuff. I still have a flip phone. I still got a rotary phone at home. And it's not easy for me to do, but to talk, this is fun. And Mike, you know, I mean, we grew up almost together. And in your Corvette, we were so jealous, and you driving up in your Corvette, a convertible, and we're going out to dinner trying to spend like $5, and that's all we could spend. And he's driving up in a big, brand new Corvette, and we said, "Golly, Pete, hey, the times are changing a little bit."
Yeah.
And now he's a biker. He's a
Yeah,
biker.
no, you
Yeah,
got your
that's right.
Harley. You got your Harley.
Oh,
How many bikes you got?
Well, I had several at one time, but now I'm only down to one. I have a 17 Limited Harley. It's a full bagger. I run quite a bit with a group around here that we like to ride, but I just have my one bike.
You got one bike.
Uh-oh, he's probably throwing Ron Say.
Yeah, what do
Ronnie
you?
Say, the Penguin.
This pitch.
Popped him up.
Could be it. He's got room. He's waiting. The Yankee bench on the field. Yankees are the champions.
Look at that.
You know what's funny, Mike?
That was 78. And we had that party. Remember with the Happy Days cast.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we celebrated on their field, and then in '81 they celebrated on our field when they beat us. Here it is. Here it is. There's the 78 ring right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, I
That
got
was
mine
Mike.
too, right there.
I got my 77. I got my 77.
Attaboy.
Hey, Joe, did you know that I was in a movie 2 years ago? I fulfilled my dream to be an actor. I had one line in the movie, okay? But I was in a lot of scenes. It was called The Bottom of the Ninth, and Ray Negron was the associate producer. He got me on it. You know
Yeah.
Ray, right?
Yeah, of
I was
course. Everybody
supposed-
knows Ray.
I was supposed to be a technical director because they wanted me to make sure that the scenes were authentic and everything. So then one of the people said there, let's make this guy, let's put him in the movie. He's a real coach. Let him be one of the coaches. So Mike Rispoli was the manager, your boy Mike Rispoli.
Oh, Mike Rispoli, Jackie Sr.
Jackie, he was in the movie. He was like one of the main characters, and Joe Manganiello and Sofia Vergara were in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but it didn't really go too, but it's still on pay-per-view and all that shit, you know?
And Dom, Mike Rispoli coaches baseball wherever he lives. He's a
Connecticut.
youth baseball. He's a big
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
And he's a tremendous actor.
Yeah, he's a
I
great guy.
like Mike.
Great guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Go, guys. Go on. Go eat. Hey, Mike, love you, big guy. Thank you very much, big guy. Give me my bat back. I want my 40. I want my 40 hits back. Dom,
The only way you're getting it back is if you sign it.
I'll sign it, but I'll take it back. I love you, big guy. Mike.
Love
I
you guys too.
Looking forward to seeing you soon, big guy.
Yes,
Dom,
thank you
I
very
love
much.
you. Joe, I love
Thank
you,
you.
big guy. You got to take us. You got to cook for us. All three of us. You got to cook for us.
Well, I'm
Okay.
gonna make Dom.
Okay, take it easy, guys. I'm gonna have you on my show. Okay, everybody's gonna come on my show next. All right.
We got you. Love
All right.
y'all. Love y'all.